All right, Mr. Turiel, let's try this again. You came by when I did this a couple years ago.
I didn't even remember having done that. It's been
So we've
long.
never done this before. This is all new information. How long have you lived in Salem?
36 years now.
How did you end up here?
The young lady that I had been dating, we went through a not too acrimonious split and got back together. She had moved up here, and after some debate as to where we would be living, we wound up choosing to live here. And I married her, and I have since remained.
Been here ever since.
Yeah, exactly.
What were your first impressions of Salem when you got here?
Well, I got here in 1990, and it was a much different city from especially the downtown, the box stores we had. It was a very, very different, very much lower key for the most part, and downtown was pretty much tumbleweeds most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's grown.
What do you think has contributed to that change of downtown?
So I think a few things. One has just been the general uplift in Salem as a destination for people. But a big one that that's brought a lot of these shops in, I think, has been the expansion of people living downtown. That was something that was really just starting when I moved here.
Interesting.
When we first moved here, we lived in the apartment building across from the Y that's condos now.
Yep.
It had been built to be condos, and the condos didn't sell because the market was completely dead. And so they turned it to rental apartments for about a decade before they were able to finally sell them off. And a couple other buildings were built in those early 90s, the conversion of the police station, the old police station to housing. A lot of that was coming by throughout, like starting about the beginning of the 90s and continuing on for about the next 15 years or so.
So there really wasn't anybody living downtown, so nobody was going downtown other than to...
Yeah, there were a few businesses downtown that were service residents, Samard's Barbershop, for instance.
Yeah. But you'd go in and go out, and that was kind of...
Yeah, exactly. You'd go in and do things. The destination retail, the place that is now Harrison's, was a mid-tier women's boutique that was a small chain in the area. Then so people would shop there, but it didn't really draw people.
Yeah. What was tourist season like in 1992, let's say?
It was quieter in most ways because it didn't extend nearly as long, but it was also pretty rowdy. That was a big problem throughout much of the 90s and really into the early 2000s, where you'd have people who were coming here with trouble on their minds, basically. Yeah. If you look at crime reports from back in those days, there was a lot of that. It was much more violent. I mean, much more relatively speaking for a city this size, but there was more violent incidents back then. There were more problems with people being, harassed, more fights, things like that were happening because people were just coming here to get loaded and party.
Yeah. And just, cause trouble and hopefully go home.
Yeah.
So in that 36 years that you've been here, what have you done to make Salem a better place? Well,
I mean, you could argue that getting myself elected may have been a mistake, but getting myself elected to the city council back in 2011 and serving for 10 years on that might have helped a little bit.
Yeah.
There are people who would say that it made things worse, but
what came out of that for you? Like, what are things that you accomplished in those 10 years that you're particularly proud of? Is there a short list?
The things that I'm proud of are mostly trying to make a stand to generally be reasonable about things, trying to improve the way government was communicated to people. But as far as specific accomplishments, I mostly look at things that happened in the neighborhood as like things that I can hang my hat on.
Yeah.
The reconstruction of Canal Street happened while I was there. A lot of people before me worked on it, but I was there to help kind of get it over the line.
Yeah.
The getting the new community life center built was something that happened on my watch.
Yeah.
The traffic lights on Lafayette Street that have reduced the amount of rear end collisions because they aren't just hidden lights on the side of the road, so people can actually see them coming. Actually, I'll credit Gino for coming up with that as an idea.
Yeah.
And then we got it done. So things like that, building a sidewalk in a stretch of one street that didn't have a sidewalk before because they didn't know quite where they could put it.
Huh.
So things like that are the stuff that I really look at as accomplishments.
Yeah. It really is a case of acting as locally as possible to affect change.
Yeah, well, that was what being a ward counselor basically is. You know,
Yeah.
you're your local neighborhood's ombudsman.
Yeah. Yeah. Why am I struggling with this third question here at the end of the day? So it's, how long have you lived here? What have you done to make Salem a better place? If someone sees you walking down the street, what do most people know you from? Because you've done all kinds of stuff in Salem itself.
Yeah.
What seems to be the go-to?
I mean, probably the most recognition I have is from my government tenure.
Yeah.
Because again, I did that for 10 years and I'm still involved in volunteer things and boards and stuff. But that's probably my most recognizable thing. But it's all over. I have places that I like to go and spend time at, and people know me from those places. I have activities. I have the gym I belong to. I have hanging out at the shanty playing trivia during the summer.
Yeah.
I have all these different things that are kind of parts of life. And there's a lot of people who recognize me because of my kid who went to Salem schools for all his time and went off to college and came back. And so people recognize me as, you know, David's dad, or a lot of people recognize me as Jane's husband.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We joked about it the couple of years ago, the first time that I participated in the Pride Parade, and I've done a few more since then with the local group of Helen Ropers.
Yep.
The first time I did that, the woman who led the group there saw the people who were recognizing me and waving out and said, like, "Are you like the mayor or something?" I was like, no, but the mayor is my D&D dungeon master. So it's that kind of city. I've joked about it a bunch of times and probably including to you, but Salem it's a city that's the size of the town with the gossip and everybody knowing everybody of a village.
Yep. That's pretty accurate.
And it's part of why I like it here.
Yeah.
It's a very unique experience that you won't find in just about any place bigger than this, and not a lot of places smaller.
Yeah. And it cuts both ways, because not only do you learn about everybody else's dirt, it kind of encourages you to maybe keep your nose clean at the same time, you know?
Fair.
Like, I can't necessarily give that guy the finger because he knows, you know, he's going to know somebody that you know.
He knows people, yeah.
100%.
I can tell you a really quick story from when David was 12. It was the first time we were he was going to a party over in North Salem on Halloween night.
Okay.
He was meeting a friend of his that lived in the Willows with all the barricades up. So I drove him down to the end of Congress Street where the barricades were.
Yep.
Let him out.
Yep.
He met his friend, and then they went walking from there to get down to the friend's house.
Yep.
And the entire rest of the evening, from starting about 5 minutes after I dropped him off and turned around, I was getting text messages from people the whole way saying, "Just saw your kid going by. I just saw David
going."
David's in our neighborhood." And I got this the entire evening.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's Salem in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like, the village watches and raises your kid with you.
100%.
And I know you've experienced this.
Yep.
And I know your stepdaughter has experienced this.
Yep.
And
child of the PEM.
It's remarkable. It's terrific. It can also be suffocating.
Sure.
But it is part of what is good about this city.
Yeah. How do you prepare, let's say if someone were relocating here from, you know, Somerville, and they were planning on moving in September of this year, how would you prepare them for that actuality? What would you tell them?
Well, Somerville, from what I know, because I have friends in Somerville, and we have clients in Somerville, and you've been to Somerville for work.
Sure.
I've been to Somerville for work. Somerville is like that, but only kind of on a neighborhood basis.
Okay.
They have like people in the Davis Square neighborhood.
Yeah.
Know
everybody.
They don't know people over in Winter Hill.
Yeah. Okay.
But Winter Hill was a neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that's very neighborhood based. With Salem, for the most part, it's the city.
It's the city. Yeah.
It's a big neighborhood.
So it's one big ass neighborhood. Well, I mean, I experienced that myself, and you were there for it when my now wife and I met for the first time. We purposely went to a coffee shop that we knew where we would know nobody because we wanted to keep it on the DL because it was literally our first date. And we walked out of the effing coffee shop and down Essex Street, and there's a whole table full of you yahoos, and they're all like, "Hey guys!" And we were like, "Oh."
That wasn't Essex Street. That was the old. That was Flatbread.
It was Derby. It was Flatbread.
And
you're all at a table. Every like local looky-loo was sitting at the
and a
same
bunch of us
table, and it was like, all right, well, I guess.
We had just helped move a whole bunch of furniture out of our friend's house into a storage unit.
Yep.
And they were rewarding us with pizza for it. So we all went down for pizza, and there you are.
And there we are. And I don't know if you remember this, but we walked past and we were like, "Hey," and we walked past. And you're like, "All right, we should probably go back and talk to them." So we all went back and we talked to everybody. So.
Yep.
But yeah, you can't get away with anything here.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're very small headways.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
And it's great and it's suffocating at the same time. But if you wanted to have a totally anonymous first date, you go to the next town over.
Well, you say that.
Because you're not going to do that here.
You say that, and we went, not that long after, we went to effing Gloucester.
Yep.
And sat at the end of at a restaurant at the end of in the water. And we sit down, and this woman turns around and she sees Elizabeth. She was like, "Oh, hey, Elizabeth." I'm like, "We're not even in Salem, and we're still getting recognized."
Yeah, and you and I both know some of the same people in Gloucester too.
Exactly.
If you had spotted one of them, you would have been busted instead of her. Yeah.
Yeah. Went to North Adams. We walk into a brewery in North Adams. This guy turns around and goes, "Oh, George's mom," and we're like, "Oh my God, they're everywhere." So, yeah.
Well, she has a famous daughter. How can you avoid that?
Exactly. Right on, man. Well, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for chatting.
Glad to. That was entertaining.
Say hello to your lovely wife for me.
I will, and you yours.
Thank you.